So he discusses the idea of what Elul is and Teshuvah a little bit. So he says, "V'avas HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Am Yisrael." What the love of the Kadosh Baruch Hu had for his nation Yisrael, Hirba lehitiv eisanu, he did a lot of good for us. V'tzivanu lashuv lefanav b'chol eshanat, and he commanded us to do Teshuvah any time that we sin. V'avshat Teshuvah tova b'chol eis, and even though Teshuvah is good at all times of the year, mikol malkam chodesh Elul hu muvchar umuchan yoser. Chodesh Elul is chosen and prepared more. Your Teshuvah is easier accepted during Elul than during the rest of the year. These days are days of appeasement from the time that we were chosen to be Hashem's nation. When was this? When Klal Yisrael sinned by the Egel, and the luchos broke. And Moshe Rabbeinu broke the luchos. It was on the 17th day of Tammuz. And after that, Moshe went up the mountain, and he davened for Klal Yisrael. Now it was another 40 days from Shavuos to Tammuz. He wanted to give him the second luchos. And then he went back up on Rosh HaShana. And he stayed there for 40 days. Those are the 40 days from Rosh HaShana till after Yom Kippur. And those are the 40 days when Moshe got the Teshuvah, the Slicha, the Ritzui, the appeasement, the Kapara from Hashem. And that's why Yom Kippur is the Yom HaKippurim, is the day of Kapara, because that was the day when Hashem forgave Klal Yisrael for the Chera Egel. But starting with Elul is already the days of Ratzon, the days of desire for Hashem is closer to us, it's easier to do Teshuvah. And that's where the idea of Elul comes from. Why do we blow shofar? When Moshe went up, this is what he says, when Moshe went up to Hashem, Tiku b'shofar b'machna, they blew the shofar in the camps to tell Klal Yisrael that they shouldn't make a mistake. I'm not sure what the mistake would be. Therefore, we also have a minute to blow the shofar, to blow every day from Rosh HaShana, just like they blew every day. I guess they were counting the days. They shouldn't make a mistake the amount of days. So they blew every day. So we also
made a mistake the last time we counted.
Right. Now we blow every day except for Rosh HaShana. In order to differentiate between the tkiyas, which are just a minhag, something that we do, rishus, and something which is a chayv, which is Hashem told us to do. Some people even blow by mincha. We don't do that. What?
Never heard that.
Yeah. And some people start from the first day of Rosh Chodesh, some people start from the second day of Rosh Chodesh. We start from second day of Rosh Chodesh, right? The ikar hatkiyos, the main reason why we have tkiyos, to wake people up, and to set fear in their hearts. They should wake up their hearts to do Teshuvah. The teva, the nature of the shofar, is to make people afraid. When you talk a shofar be'ir, if I blow a shofar in the city, and the nation won't be afraid. And that's the main reason why I blow a shofar, is to make people afraid, to wake people up, that the Yom Adin, it's time for Teshuvah. Every person at least, to prepare himself. Today is going to go to judgment. You have a court case coming up, and the court case is going to be on Rosh HaShana, and every person has to at least prepare himself for his court case. 30 days before you start preparing with Teshuvah and Tefillah. You put your whole heart only into serving Hashem. There's even a remez. Those are the first words of Elul. Aleph Lamed, Vav Lamed, Ani L'Doidi, I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me. Rosh HaShana El. V'chein yarba, b'chol ha'chodesh, b'teshuvah, b'tefillah, b'tzedakah. The whole month, we do a lot of teshuvah, tefillah, and tzedakah. When that's the remez, then there's another remez for this. U'mashloach manos, sending presents. Ish l're'eu u'matanas la'avyonim. Ish, Aleph, l're'eu lamed, u'matanas is vav, la'avyonim is lamed. Rosh HaShana Elul. L'ramash b'chodesh Elul, yirbim matanas la'avyonim. In Elul, you should give a lot of presents to poor people. Some people even fast all the way back, starting with Rosh Elul.
Every day?
Every day. You should only do that if you're very healthy. And mazically, you know it's not going to hurt you. It's not going to be vatal Torah.
They fast till Chatzos or
no.
for the whole day?
But in our generation where we're weak, and people are low, I'm for sure someone who isn't a loimed, I'm sorry, better to eat less and learn double. So better nowadays where we're weak, instead of focusing on fasting, better cut back on your food and learn double. Then he talks about Kivin Shem Yimei Teshuvah, since there are days of Teshuvah, many places they get up the whole Elul early, to say Slichas, but we only start 4 days of Rosh HaShana, and it has to be Matzah Shabbos.
Spartans are longer, right?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, Rosh HaShana.
And why those 4 days? Yes, Farnham started right away. Why those 4 days? A lot of people fast at least the 10 days of Aseret Yemei Teshuvah. But because you want to go wash? Yeah. Because you miss 4 days of fasting, usually. Actually, every year, I'm sorry. Right? Shabbos, Rosh HaShana, 2 days, and Yom Kippur. Therefore, you start 4 days earlier and you fast for an extra 4 days. And that's why you get up earlier those days. And most people fast at least on the first day of Slichus, he says.
Who is he?
This is the Chai Adam. Okay. Good? So that's a little bit just to get an idea of what Elul is. Elul is Yimei Ratzon. Elul is a time for Teshuvah from the time that we became Klal Yisrael. It was put into part of the package that this is part of the time to do Teshuvah. And that's what Elul is. And that's why during Elul people have a minhag to get up early. We blow shofar. We try to do more Teshuvah, Tefillah, Tzedakah during the month of Elul in order to bring us closer to Hashem, in order to prepare ourselves for the Yom Hadin of Rosh HaShana. So, that's the Chayam, part 1. Okay. Part 2, the Rambam writes like this. This is Parak Gimel Hilchos Teshuvah Halacha Daled. Nagu kol beis Yisrael laharbes b'tzedakah. People give more tzedakah, might sometimes good deeds. Ulasek b'mitzvos Rosh HaShana ad Yom Kippurim yosim Rosh HaShana. They work harder between Rosh HaShana and Yom Kippur more than the whole year. Ulasek kol echad darka rosh darch ba'adas, and you leave your bad ways. And it's brought down in halacha. There's the idea of doing extra things. There's the idea of doing higher level things. So, for example, we try not to eat pas palter. We try not to eat pas akum during Aseret Yemei Teshuvah. Even people who maybe eat chalav akum, maybe don't eat it during Aseret Yemei Teshuvah. There's the idea of going on a higher level during the Aseret Yemei Teshuvah, raising ourselves up. In Rosh HaShana and Yom Kippur, these are the ideas that are there. But a question that comes up, sort of, for everybody, is it kind of feels fake. Because, yeah, okay, whatever, fine. So I'll work hard for a week. I'm not going to eat chal v'stam. What's the difference? I eat chal v'stam the whole year. So for 1 week, well, what am I doing exactly? Or for 1 week, I'm going to go learn more, or I'm going to go do a little more. What's the difference? It's fake. Or teshuvah, like, you say teshuvah al ched, and then the next day you just do it again. So it's like, what's the point? So the first thing is, of course, it's not true. Even one time you do a mitzvah, even if you go learn one time, it's a mistake that we make in our lives, that we think that, if I'm not going to keep something up forever, it means I shouldn't do it once, which is absolutely not true, right? If you give tzedakah $1,000 today, it doesn't mean you have to give $1,000 every day. A one-time thing is you still gave $1,000, and the same thing is with learning. You don't have to commit to come every single Tuesday. If you come even one Tuesday, or if you go anywhere, one Shemon Esrei, you decide to have more kavana, you still have more kavana by one Shemon Esrei. You don't have to have more kavana. Whether you have more kavana by the next Shemon Esrei or not doesn't take away from the fact that you can do one-time deals. So, halavai that at least once a year we should daven Shemon Esrei properly. Halavai that for a month a year we should try to focus more, and we should try to do it. It doesn't make you a contradiction because you don't keep it up a whole year, right? It's the same thing with anything in our lives, in our personal lives, right? You want to work and make more money, let's say, so you motivate yourself to work harder temporarily, and you talk to make more money, and so maybe later it's harder to motivate yourself. So okay, at least you made more money then. Doesn't mean okay, so the next month you make less money. But anything, losing weight, dieting, exercising for temporary isn't gonna. You still did it. Whatever benefits there are, you still have. That's the first point. It's a ta'ut, and there's nothing wrong. Better that you should try to come learn for a week, or even one time, or even one amein, that you should say with more kavana. There's nothing wrong with that. If it's a way of getting you to do better, that's one thing. Even more than that, so we used to have this question during color war in camp. So, I don't know, anyone ever went to camp?
Yep.
Anyone ever had color war?
Yep.
So all of a sudden during color war, all the counselors become mamash like tzaddikim, right? Because you get more points. Whoever benches louder.
Campers need comes in.
No, the campers don't care. The campers don't care about color war. It's the counselors that want to win color war. So counselors are holding signs, daven with all your heart. You ever saw that? Say amen, right? No. Bench louder. So we used to ask, it's kind of a contradiction. It's like, well, what are you doing? Like all of a sudden when you get points for it, so now you do it. So the answer we were told is, let's take a different aspect of color war, right? So let's say during color war, you got to write a song, or you have to put on a play, or you need to build a banner, or right? There's all kinds of things that you do, and all of a sudden, these young guys are doing they're doing pretty cool things. They do writing things. They're acting things that they never really do. So, maybe girls do it more in the girls' schools, but in the boys, whatever. All of a sudden, once a year, you're acting in a play, right? So, what does color war do? On a certain level, it gives you a feeling that, hey, wow, look what I could do. Look what I could do if I put my heart. If I put my effort, if I focus on this, all of a sudden I could do things that I never thought I could do before. And then it shows you, hey, you know what? I could do this. Why don't I do it? So what it does is it gives you that belief in yourself. It gives you that strength. So even though you're only stretching yourself for a day or 2 days, and you're super stretching yourself, but when you do stretch yourself and you do accomplish, all of a sudden you wake up and you say, wow, I could do that. I could speak in front of the whole camp, or I could sing a song, or I could write a song, or I could act. And it shows you what you could do. It wakes up inside of yourself what you could do. And then, even if you don't keep up that level the whole year, but the idea is that it keeps raising you up. So one year you say, wow, I could do this, and I could do that, and I could do this, I could do that. And it picks you up. You believe in yourself more. You know you could do more, and you could do more, and you accomplish more. So that's another idea, like sort of what El does, and that's the same thing by the davening in camp. That's what the head counselor told us at the time. He's like, look what davening could look like. At least 2 days a year we have a good davening, and this is what davening could look like, right? So if we do this and we start to see what davening could look like and what it should look like, so hopefully that will raise the level of the davening and the benching a whole year. It may not maintain on such a high, extreme level, but it could be maintained on a higher level. It raises it up. So that's another idea of Elul and Tishrei before we come to the proper answer. But another reason why there's not so bad sometimes to fake yourself out, because when you fake yourself out, you see what you could do. Right? When you stay up a whole night Shavuos, I don't know if anyone else ever had this question, but when you stay up a whole night Shavuos and everyone's sitting and learning for 3-4 hours, every time I look around I say like, hey, why don't we do this another day? Right? Like, why don't I try this another time? I'll make a lot of shurim and hey, maybe people will come for 4 hours straight. Does it have to be in the middle of the night? Like, we make it during the day, 9 to 1 one day. But the idea is like, what?
Holiday Monday. Can't get out of the house without going to the
Yeah, I don't know. It's got to be in the middle of the night, 11 to 3. But the idea is that you see what you could do. All of a sudden, there's hundreds of people coming to shul for 4 hours straight, right? You don't have that really that many other times a year where people are coming to shiurim and learning for so many hours. So what's the point? So one of the points is it shows you what you could do. Hey, if I could do it then, I could do it again, and I could do it again, and I could keep it up. So if you stretch yourself at points of the year and you reach to your max and you push yourself to your highest potential at points of the year, that gives you the strength throughout the year to raise your goals and to say, hey, you know what? Maybe I could do it. Right? So if you put yourself in a position where even if it's only for a day or a week or a month, where you say, I'm going to, whatever it is, I'm going to daven better Shemona Esrei, and you work really, really hard on your Shemona Esrei for that month, or you say, I'm not going to talk a whole year, so during davening, whatever it is, you may not maintain it a whole year, but you will raise your bar, and you will see, like, wow, I could go to shul and not talk, or I could daven Shemona Esrei properly, or I could go to shul every day, or whatever it is, whatever your challenge is, it becomes doable, and it's easier for you because it's just for a short time. So the idea is that when you stretch yourself for a short time, it's easier for yourself to push yourself, say, okay, for one day I'm going to do this. It's much easier. And then, when you do it, it sort of carries over for the rest of the year. So just on a practical level, Rosh HaShana, Elul, sometimes it's good to fake yourself out. Just be a tzaddik for one day. All of a sudden you'll see it could be a lot better than you can. Although I'll give you one quick warning, is it does make you feel guilty afterwards.
How long?
It lasts for a long time. Number one, even if you're just doing it for one day, it's still worth it. One day, 4 hours of learning is still 4 hours more of learning. Or one Shemona Esrei of being intense, concentrating, and having proper kavanah is still great. When you get up to Shemayim, you're still going to be rewarded for that one Shemona Esrei, even if you never keep it up again. Even if it's one word, or one bracha, or one whole Shemona Esrei, or 1 week, or 1 month. So if we could wake ourselves up and say, hey, every shacharis I'm going to do this, or every benching I'm going to focus on the first bracha, or every time I make a bracha I'm going to try to pay attention, or I'm going to learn an extra 10 minutes, or I'm going to be nicer to my kids, or whatever. Anything that we do, and we say I'm going to do it temporarily, even temporary is amazing. That's number one. Number two is, if you do commit to doing it temporarily, it will be easier to do because it's so short. And then when you see what you could do, and when you reach past yourself and you extend, if you reach your potential in some area, it will raise your bar for the rest of the year and for other times to keep that up. So therefore, it's good to do. And you should fake it, you should try to do your best, and you should yell Amen during Elul, and don't worry if you don't yell it the rest of the year. Don't worry about people looking at you. But that's number one and number two. But number three, even more importantly, is the Gemara in Rosh HaShana. The Gemara says, one second. far here. Too far. Okay. It's a very interesting Gemara. The Gemara says like this: Tez Zayin on the base. Amr Yitzchak. Ein danin es Adam el fi ma'asav shel Isa Shah. We don't judge a person except for based on his actions of that time. Shenamar ki shama Elokim el kol anar v'asher hu sham. Hashem heard the voice of the nar based on where he was then. V'asher hu sham. And Rashi brings down like this. Matzina b'Bereishis Rabbah, the Medrash says like this. Amru Malachi Ashares, the Malachi Ashares said, L'fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, B'nai Shalom, Misha Asinim Banav Lahamis V'Espanecha B'Tzama. This was Yishmael, right? So Yishmael was out, they got thrown out of the house and they were sitting in the desert and there was nothing to drink. And Hashem said, Hashem heard the voice of the Nar, B'asher hu sham, where he was then. And the Malachim said to Hashem, Misha Asinim Banav Lahamis V'Espanecha B'Tzama, the one whose children are going to kill your children with thirst, which was, I think, by the story when they came out of Mitzrayim and when they gave them the flasks full of air, they gave them the salt and then they gave them the flasks full to the Churban, right? So Misha Zin B'Nei Lahamis B'Necha B'Tzama Atamal Be'er. You're going to bring him water. Shenemar Masa Be'er V'Lukas Tzama Hasay Mayim Shay Moitzin Lukas Hagoylim. Yeah, when the Goylim, after the Churban, they brought out Minim Aluchim, they brought out salty foods, V'Noidus Nefuchim, and flasks full of air. So Kedisa Hasim, like the Gemara says over there. So they killed them with thirst. Those people. So you're going to save him from thirst? Let him die from thirst. Amar Lahem, so Hashem said, Hatsha Tzadik or Rasha. What is he now? Tzadik or Rasha? Amar Lahem Tzadik, he's a Tzadik. Amar Lahem B'asher hu sham, where he is now. Eini danas ha'olam ela b'shaitai. I only judge people based on where they are now. And this is a very important idea to understand when it comes to Rosh HaShana and Yom Kippur, because see, this whole idea of us sort of faking ourselves out, sort of being fakers, the truth is, it's not fake. Because that's what we're judged on. We're judged on B'asher hu sham. We're judged on where we are now. So, even if, now, you can't have in mind, okay, I'm going to say vidui now, but tomorrow I'm going to go back and do it. But at the time when you're saying the vidui, what's in your heart at that time? What's in your thoughts at that time? You're saying, oh, well, let's say whatever, a person talks during Davening, he makes it his decision, commits, I'm not going to talk anymore during Davening. Now, the truth is that if we go look, that guy may talk the next day, even the same Davening. But at the time when he's saying the vidui, what's in his mind at that time, right? What do we all do? How does the Yitzhar work? We determine, we decide, we make a commitment, we make a Kabbalah not to sin again, and yet somehow, whatever, maybe we do it again. But at the time of the commitment, at the time on Yom Kippur, when you're in shul, where are you? B'asher hu sham. Hashem judges you based on where you are now. Where are you now? If someone were to look at you now and say, what would you do right now, who I am now, I wouldn't do that anymore. Now, we change. We lose the levels that we reached. But B'asher hu sham, we get judged by where we are now. And this is one of the hidden secrets of the whole Elul, the whole Rosh HaShana, the whole Yom Kippur, and it helps us to be able to connect with it. One of the ideas of it is that on Rosh HaShana, which is the day of Din, it's the day we're being judged, there's no Teshuvah. We don't do Teshuvah anymore. Well, the main judgment is Rosh HaShana, it's the Yom HaDin. Kippur is the Yom HaSlicha, Yom Kippur, right? Yom Kapara. And there's always the famous question, why is Rosh Hashanah before Yom Kippur? It should be the other way around. First give us a chance to do Teshuvah. First give us a chance to have a Kapara. First let's clean up, and then we'll go to Din. Why do we want to go to Din while we still have the Averis? So we won't get so into that in this year. But what is the idea of Rosh Hashanah? The idea of Rosh Hashanah is to be Mamlech Hashem. The idea of Rosh Hashanah is to make ourselves as servants of Hashem, to make ourselves avadim of Hashem. So what we're doing at Rosh Hashanah is, we're not focusing on the past, we're not focusing on what we did wrong. On Rosh Hashanah what we're doing is, we're raising ourselves up, we're strengthening our relationship with Hashem. We're connecting to Hashem. And because on the Yom HaDin it's Ba'asher Husham, where am I now? Who am I now? So even if I have past sins, but Ba'asher Husham, where am I now? So part of the idea of the whole Rosh Hashanah, the whole Elul, the whole Aseret Teshuvah of doing higher level things, is that there's the idea of Ba'asher Husham. We can make ourselves into that person, even if we may not be able to maintain that level. And even if we may not be able to maintain that intensity and remain that person who we were on Rosh Hashanah the entire year, but if we turn ourselves into a different person on Rosh Hashanah, then our Ba'asher Husham, where am I now? Where is my judgment going to be? It's going to be based on who am I today? Who am I on Rosh Hashanah? On Rosh Hashanah today, I'm the guy who doesn't talk during davening, or doesn't, whatever, right? Doesn't eat treif, or whatever my avera is. Now, even though maybe tomorrow the Yetzer Hara is going to come back and get me to do it again somehow, but if you would ask me now, I would almost swear to you that I won't do it again. That's how strong we can do Teshuvah. Now, we're kind of mixed up people, where we could have one day, we could almost swear to you that we're not going to do something, and the next day we could still do it. Because that's the way we are, that's the way the Yetzer Hara works, and that's what happens to us. But the idea is to get ourselves to a point today, forget the future, not forget the future. No, I'm not going to do it in the future. Even though maybe you know in the back of your head, well, this happened last year, and the year before, and the year before, and the year before. We've been doing this for about 20 years, and every year I ended up going back and doing it again. So every year I ended up going back and doing it again, so what kind of game is this? If I keep going back and doing it again, this whole thing's a fake, but it's not. Because you can reach at least for now, and you could try to keep it up, you could reach a point where you really will not do it again. And then you change, and then you become something else, and then maybe you do it again. That doesn't mean I'm not advocating to change back. That's not what we're saying. But what we're saying is just like take dieting or some other area in your life. You can get to a point where you're so committed to your diet that you can't even imagine. You know, it's like that bar of chocolates are like, I would never eat that thing, or whatever it is, right? And then like, all of a sudden you wake up one day and it's just gone, and like slowly but surely, you know, you have a little bit, and like you're back to where you were before, and you're like, what happened? Like, who am I? Or which guy am I? Right? I once saw it illustrated in a book. There's a non-Jewish fellow who writes business books. His name is Michael Gerber. Anyone ever heard of him? E-Myth? Anyways, so he writes a whole thing about how a person, he wakes up one morning, he decides he's going to go on a diet. So he has different people within himself. So one guy is called Skinny Guy. This guy, he empties out the fridge, fills it with tofu and vitamins and healthy foods, organic foods, and he's waking up every morning early, buys all kinds of clothes and signs up at the gym, and he's going jogging, and he's pumped, he's going, and he sees people eating not healthy. He just can't imagine how could they be eating not healthy, and he's excited and he's passionate. He's just doing it. He's doing it every day. He's doing it. All of a sudden one morning you wake up and you're like, I don't want to get up. Your alarm's set for 6, right, to do your morning jog. You wake up one morning, I don't want to do that jog. Just turn over the snooze button. You get down to the fridge, and fat guy's back. He opens up the fridge. Yeah, there's nothing to eat in here. Closes the fridge. And the idea is that all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're just like, I don't want to do anything that I just did. And like, you're just in a totally different place in your mind, and it's as if like, who was that person? So we can be different people. And that's what happens to us. So the goal is to try to turn ourselves into, I don't know what you want to call it, Teshuvah guy or Jewish guy, right? And you're committed and you're focused and you're coming on time to davening and you're learning and you're doing the right things and you're not saying Lashon Hara and you're not talking during davening and you're pumped and you're doing it. And even though it always happens that at some point it just turns off. I mean, the goal is to not let it turn off, but that's what maybe happens. And even though in other years it's happened, you start to feel like it's a fake, but it's not true because you're judged. Asher Husham. Which guy are you on Rosh HaShana? Which guy are you at the din? That's the key. The key is, who are you at the din? And whichever guy you are at the din, that's where you're judged. So if you're Teshuvah guy, if you're Jewish guy at the din, and you're learning and you're focused and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, then that's where you're going to be judged. But if you give up and you say, you know what, every year I go back, so I might as well just stay Russian. Why should I waste my time cleaning out my fridge and signing up for the gym membership and doing all these things? I'm just going to go back anyways. So then you're going to be judged as whatever, Russia guy, whatever you want to be, bad guy. And that's where you're going to be judged. So the key is, who are you on Rosh HaShana? What level could you be choosing to? And like we discussed, on a practical level, even if it's temporary, it's still great. And even more so, it will extend throughout the year. And you know, maybe if I stick to a diet for 6 months, it may not continue, but maybe it will still have a residue where at least I'll be a little healthier, or maybe I can keep myself motivated for longer this year, right? Usually it lasts a month. Maybe I can get it to last 2 months or a month and a week, and maybe I could get the next one going. Instead of waiting 6 weeks in the middle, I could get the next one going 4 weeks in the middle. I could spend half of the year or 50% of the year in Teshuvah mode instead of, right? And I could keep improving and keep raising it and keep raising the bar, that I keep getting better and better. But the idea is that as far as Rosh Hashanah is concerned, as far as the din is concerned, it's not fake, because we're judged by Asher Husham. We're judged based on where we are now. So take a few extra minutes over here. So there's a fascinating question based on this. And if this is true, the question is, in this week's Parsha, last week's Parsha, we had the Parsha of the Ben Sayer Amara. The Ben Sayer Amara is a story where this child, he doesn't listen to his parents, and he goes out and he eats a lot of meat and a lot of wine. But he didn't really do anything yet. And the Gemara says, he's Nerag Hashem Sofa. He gets killed because of his future. Why? The Torah went into his mind, and the Torah knows this is what's going to happen to this fellow. He's going to end up becoming a robber. And better he should die when he's innocent than he should die when he's chayav. So, even though he doesn't deserve to die now, he didn't do anything now that he deserved to die. The wine that he drank had 4 hechsherim on it. Right? It was super kosher, no problem. The meat, glot, perfect, right? What's the problem? What did he do? He ate a lot, he drank a lot. Well, he didn't do anything so terrible. Right? The halacha is that if he ate treif, he's pater from Misa, by the way. It's fascinating. It had to be kosher. What did he do wrong? Why are we killing this guy? So the answer is Hashem Soifoy, because Asid Hu L'Lasim Tzibis, he's going to eventually come to do these things. Basher Husham. The Gemara in Rosh HaShana says we judge a person only where he is now. We don't judge him based on the future. So many people discuss this question. There's many different answers. But I wanted to say maybe an answer that would maybe help illustrate this idea that we're talking about. It's not last week's parsha, this is coming week's parsha. And the pshat could be is maybe like this. When you have an adult, so an adult is a creation, is already a built-up object. So now, that doesn't mean that an adult can't change. An adult could change, right? And we could be whatever we are, and we could change to become something else. But we're already something. So, for example, if you would take an adult, you would compare him to, let's say if we were comparing it to silver, you compare him to a cup. He's a silver cup. Now, could you melt down a silver cup and reform it into a silver bowl or into a silver menorah, let's say? Yeah, maybe you could, right? But right now, when you're looking at the silver cup, if you're a normal person, what do you see in front of you? You see a silver cup. You don't see a silver menorah. But when you look at a child is different. A child is potential. What's a child? A child's not a cup. A child is raw silver. It's just a ball of melted silver waiting to be fashioned into something. So when you look at this child, what do you see? You don't see anything. You don't see a formed object. You see no form. And therefore, it could be that when it comes to a child specifically, a Ben Sera specifically, who's a child, could be that he does get judged based on his future. Because who is he now? He's nothing now. So therefore, we could look at him and say, well, this is what he's going to become. But by an adult, I'm already a cup. And then a cup doesn't deserve to die. So now maybe I could turn myself into menorah. Fine, I can turn myself into menorah. But until I do, I'm a cup. And therefore the idea is, if this is true, the idea is that specifically by a Ben Sera, specifically by a child, specifically at this age, specifically if he does these certain things, the Torah is telling you, look, this is a waste of time because we know what he's going to become. And because he's not anything else now, who he is now can't protect him from who he's going to be. In other words, you could already see now who he's going to be. When it comes to an adult who is a cup, who is a formed object, unless he does something wrong and turns himself into something else, he still remains what he was. We'll talk about it later.
How does Ishmael fit into this?
That's a good question also. So therefore, if this is true, well, Ishmael was 20.
So he's
a tzaddik. That's why he asked him, is he a tzaddik or is he a Russian? He said he's a tzaddik. Right now he was a tzaddik. A Ben Sera is a child. You would never say, is he a tzaddik or a Russian? Oh, he's a tzaddik. No, he's not a tzaddik. He's nothing now. Because he's nothing now, he just turned bar mitzvah, he's empty. So therefore, based on the future, we can figure out what he is. But a person who's already turned himself into a tzaddik, once he's a tzaddik, even if maybe Hashem knows, in 5 years from now he's going to give up everything, he's going to become a Rasha, but until he does it, he remains a tzaddik. So the idea is that once I make myself into something, even though I may change, but I become that thing. And that's the idea of Rosh HaShana, Ba'asher Hu Sham. If we turn ourselves into something, then we get judged based on that something. Even if at a later point it's going to change. Today I'm a cup. Today I'm Teshuvah guy. And when I come to Rosh HaShana, when I come to court, Hashem judges me based on today. Let's look at this guy. Who is he? He's Teshuvah guy. He's getting up every morning on time. He's learning. He's davening. He's not talking during davening. He's not saying Lashon Hara. He's eating kosher. He's doing everything like he's supposed to be. So he's Teshuvah guy. I'm judging Teshuvah guy. I'm judging the cup. Even though in a month from now, maybe a week from now, maybe even a day from now, all of a sudden you become a menorah guy and you're a bad guy or Russia guy, but at the time of din you get judged as the Teshuvah guy. So therefore it does pay to, even if it's temporary, to wake ourselves up and to be ma'or ourselves and to do Teshuvah. And even though it's difficult to say to ourselves, okay, I'm going to keep this up a whole year, but in the AA programs, in the 12 steps, so one of the most important statements they say is one day at a time. Right? Let's take it day by day. Because you try to change forever, you make a commitment to come learn every day for the rest of your life. Or I'm never going to talk again during davening. So you give up on the first day. It's hard, right? But if you make a commitment, today, for 5 minutes, I'm not going to talk to you. Today, I'm not going to talk to you. Today, it's not so hard. One day, okay, big deal. Another day, another day, another day. And that's what they do, and they keep that up for 10 years. So therefore, that's what Rosh HaShana is. Let's do it today. Let's during Elul, temporarily, let's improve ourselves. Temporarily, let's turn ourselves into Teshuvah guy. And then, number one, we'll get the reward for what we did better now. Number two is it will improve us throughout the rest of the year. And number three is, even if it doesn't, but we'll get judged for being that person today. Even if we change, but we'll be judged in this position. So who do you want to be when you're judged? Do you want to be Teshuvah guy or do you want to be Rosh guy?